Welcome, everyone, to Southern Virginia Women's Lacrosse Action. I'm Jim Bresnahan, joined today by Jason Lamb. We are ready to bring you Southern Virginia Women's Lacrosse Action as the Knights get ready to host the Seahawks of St. Mary's. Southern Virginia comes in 0-2 in the Capital Conference, 0-9 overall. St. Mary's 1-0, Jason, in the conference. They are 6-2 overall, and of course they won last year over Southern Virginia at St. Mary's 19-4, and they boast one of the best players, I guess, in the Capital Conference in Tori Poffenbarger.
Yes, they do. It's a good squad. The Seahawks coming in. Got to talk to the coach and the girls a little bit before the game. They're having another good quality season and representing the Capital Athletic Conference well as one of the top teams in the country, regionally, not only regionally but throughout nationally as well. This is a great women's lacrosse team coming in, and it should be a great contest, great opportunity to test our local Lady lacrosse girls. So
it is going to be a busy sports weekend here for Southern Virginia.
Absolutely. Open house this weekend. For those that don't know, we do open house 3 times in the spring, once in the fall. Open house is a big deal to us in our wonderful little campus. We bring in students from all over the country. They can be specific to a sport or another interest on campus. Could be musicians or theater or even just academics students who have a desire to show up. So we've got a lot happening. We were going to have a doubleheader softball game going on right now, but that got canceled because of the weather. Tomorrow, though, we do have a doubleheader softball, doubleheader baseball, and, proud to say, men's lacrosse game here at 1 o'clock. So we're very busy. Absolutely, Jim.
Yeah, we'll talk about your game with Salisbury throughout the contest today because you've got a tough matchup taking on Salisbury tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I wasn't going to start stressing until tomorrow morning, so thank you, Jim. Yeah, but we do. We got a great game going on tomorrow. 10-time national champion Salisbury men's lacrosse team coming in on this very same field. But you know what? We're all excited. The team's in a good mood. We had a great yoga stretch session this afternoon. We've got 7 recruits on campus, and they were with us. And just fun. Just a fun time. Athletics at Southern Virginia has never been in a better place. You may look at some of our records and wonder, but I'm telling you that the momentum, the energy, and the improvements, and it's a great time to be here. So.
And the men's baseball team has had some tough losses here recently. They had the doubleheader sweep, of course, last weekend against St. Mary's. Had a great chance to beat York in Game 1 of that doubleheader earlier this week and lost that game, and then lost a very heartbreaker to Christopher Newport on Wednesday. And
they were 4.
Got beat by Lynchburg on Thursday.
It was 1-1 going into the, I think, the 8th. He said, it was his reliever pitching. He blamed it on, but I didn't say that.
Bradley Jackson seems to be pitching pretty well for the Knights.
Yeah. Fun comment about the baseball team. They blanked St. Mary's last Saturday. We were there. So we were playing at St. Mary's.
That's right.
Had a great half, 10-7 at half. Ended up losing the game. But it was a fun day to Southern Virginia on the campus of St. Mary's in St. Mary's College.
Opening draw here. Again, it goes to the Knights momentarily, but then St. Mary's scoops it up, Jason.
So first draw, Claire is one of our top players, and she did a great job hootailing. Claire's coming in as one of our lead players. She's taking most of the draws right now, which is great. Cut. Good save, Miller. Good to get the first save out of the way. We've got a new goalkeeper to the game of lacrosse, and she's doing a great job. And that's a great way to start the game. Not only do we get the save, but as we say in the men's game, making a defensive stop is not enough. You got to get the ball to the offense, and so the challenge becomes first lost draw to the first save to the first clear to now we've got to get it in our offensive box, which is that blue line that Zoe Bradshaw's running towards. So the challenge is get the ball to the offense.
And the Knights are trying to get it into the offensive area right now with Zoe, who likes to run between defenders. She'll do a lot of things because she's very athletic.
Well, for those that don't know, that blue line she just crossed is kind of like an offsides line in women's lacrosse. There are 4 St. Mary's girls you can't see in the screen now that could play aggressively up to that line and double team. And that's why it's so hard to get it over that blue line. But you have to. That's how you get it to your offense. And now we sit in and play 7-on-7. And again, here's Claire isolation, which is a tremendous play for her. She's big, she's strong. There's a foul call. It's an illegal push on the defensive St. Mary's player, and that is number 3. That's Lizzie D'Agostero. She's a junior from Bel Air, Maryland. C. Milton Wright. I coached a player from C. Milton Wright. Free shot for Claire. Great opportunity to start the game off with the first goal. Missed a little bit low and to the outside. Not a bad place to shoot, Jim, because in lacrosse, one of the great unique rules is when you shoot and you back it up, you get the ball back. So here we have a retained possession even on a missed shot.
And Jason, if you can explain, I guess, some of the philosophy, maybe it varies between men's and women's lacrosse, about obviously setting things up from behind the cage and running people back and forth in front.
So while we're watching Elizabeth Bonney, she's going to get a free 8-meter shot here. There must have been an illegal 3-second defensive call maybe off the ball when Claire shot. Bonney takes the shot. Unfortunately, the backup now, this goes against us. Maybe. We'll see how this plays out. They're going to give the ball to St. Mary's. Yeah, so St. Mary's backed that shot up. So what I just explained went against us in this situation. So St. Mary's gets to clear the ball. Some of the differences, it's a whole lot easier to share the similarities because the differences are just too great.
Right.
There's just way too many things not the same. So certainly the goal size is the same, the objective is the same. Get the ball in the goal. Similarities with sticks, right? We the ball is still played in a stick.
Yeah,
So
when you actually look at sports, Jason, where you've got men and women playing, basketball is the one that comes to mind. There's no comparison, I would imagine, between the difference between men's basketball and women's basketball and men's lacrosse and women's lacrosse.
So,
drastic differences in lacrosse.
There are. So here's a cutter offense.
And
unfortunately,
easy goal.
You know, the offense for at this level, it's a cutter offense more than it is a dodging offense. I would say that's one difference in the men's game. Men dodge more to score. The women feed more to score. That has a little bit to do with the rules, as we you and I talked before the broadcast there.
That was Tori Poffenbarger, by the way. That was her 32nd goal of the season.
You know, and we're going to get a feel for her talents. You know, some girls, they come in as lead scorers, and they come from behind the goal, or they may be dodgers to score. This is clearly, she's a cutter. We've got to mark up on her. We've got to know where 20 is. We've got to see her early on, and whoever is guarding the feeder, the girl with the ball behind the goal, has got to be a little bit more aggressive too. We've got to prevent there's too many variables in a feeder offense. You've got a good pass, a good cut, a good catch, a good shot. It's hard to be a really good cutting offense.
Yeah, their top scorer, Poffenbarger, a junior, is drastically different of a player, I would imagine, than Southern Virginia's top player in top goal scorer in Rainey Whitworth.
Absolutely. Rainey is all right, so there's another feed inside. This is to 26. For St. Mary's, 26 is Christy Bishop. She's a senior from Glenwood, Maryland. Again, feeders. So there's a difference in. So you were saying some of the differences. Well, the men's game, we can be physical. We can play more like hockey. You can hit. You can knock people over. It's got that football component to it. The women's lacrosse game's played just like basketball in its theory that it's non-contact, and so picks. And playing off pick and cutter action is really big in the women's game.
If you've been watching some of these games here lately, Zoe Bradshaw's been taking a lot of punishment.
Yeah, well, she is. And
for a non-contact game.
Well, again, you're right. That's my point, that it can be physical, but the rules are intended so that they're not physical as much. The game should be played more, non-contact, but there is physicality.
By the way, a 2-0 lead here for St. Mary's, Jason, and Kami Miller can only do so much against an offense like this where they really get people wide open in front of the net.
The key to this is, and no better other way to say it, it's just meant to cause a mass amount of confusion. You know, much like a motion offense in basketball, you're going to see a lot of movement off ball, and some of it is, frankly, Jim, is a decoy. You're not going to think that, we shouldn't think anyway, that every one of these, that's a backdoor cut, but great help. Number 16, Andy Martin, did a great job. She's one of our better defenders from Tigard, Oregon, Southridge High School. She did a great job of double helping right there in that moment where we were backdoor cut. So here's a dodge to score, and that speaks to the versatility of this St. Mary's team. I've never seen them play. They've scored 2 goals off cutters, and then there's an isolation dodge.
And that was Abby Harrison getting that goal. Abby Harrison, a sophomore from Easton, Maryland, and now it's 3-0 St. Mary's.
Well, we knew that there's a huge potential for this game to get away. I mean, no doubt when you see a team that's 6-2 and receiving national votes, and then you've got an 0-9 team, we know there's going to be a difference here today. The challenge for our Knights is going to be to slow the game down and to limit the opportunities St. Mary's have. One of the ways I am strongly, trying to teach our boys, our guys, is, the best defense is a ball control
Right.
offense.
Yeah.
So today, no doubt. I mean, I know that Coach Weber, Coach Sorensen have stressed it. The girls are now just going to have to exit. Great job, Rennie. This is that athleticism we talked about. She can do it all. I mean, she's as good as anybody on the field in any game that I've seen this year. The difficulty becomes everybody else knows that too.
Yeah.
So she's the marked lady. She's the one they're going to put their best defender on. She's going to be the one that's going to have to get it done with a lot of attention. But
well, me and Mike have talked about that. I mean, maybe out of necessity, the women's team right now does a lot of one-on-one, especially Rainey and Zoe, as opposed to some of these other teams you'll see where they really have a great passing offense.
Well,
very team-oriented.
This action here, it's really in isolation. 3 Dodgers, Claire, Zoe, Rainey, 3 power girls that can play the game and move and dodge. And because the women's game plays a very much man-to-man isolation defense, this gives the power girls the better opportunity to do something. The other girls are really just in there to run some distraction. If they're wide open, would we pass them the ball? I'm sure that they would,
Yep.
But the intent here is to dodge their way into the goal with some isolation.
That time, Rainey got the ball slapped away, and the goalie actually picked it up for St. Mary's.
Yeah, and this goalie's been very active for them. Kaylee Dunn, who is a junior from Rockville, Maryland, Our Lady of Good Counsel. You could tell she knows that her part of her role can be to help out of the goal. That speaks to athleticism, confidence, experience, and that's an extra defender, which is a great attribute that they have. So
look how crisp that passing is, and they get another goal.
Yeah, 3-on-2 breakaway. This is the transition game, Jim, that, again, as I said earlier, the desire here is to slow the game down. Don't let the game take off beyond the reality of what we can handle. Transition elements are the greatest separator. It's not the 7-on-7. I think we can handle ourselves 7-on-7 on either end and hold ourselves in without too many major mistakes. But unfortunately, the better teams have the ability to motor the ball from one end to the other, and as you just saw, because there's just so much talent, so many girls that can all touch the ball. Truthfully, and as the case with the men's game as it is for the women's game here at Southern Virginia, there's only a certain handful of people that we can get the ball to in that transition, and it limits the success. And there was another example where defensively.
So when you talk about trying to possess the ball, how important are these draws then?
Well, just like if you jump ball every time in basketball after a goal like the olden days, that would change it. We have the rule of make it, take it in lacrosse. If you make the goal, you can take it, because if you have the right face-off people, you score, you get the ball back.
Would you like to see that change where the team that scores automatically is on defense?
No, I wouldn't, because it's unique to us and it's something we love. It'd be like in football where there was some sort of scenario where after you score a touchdown, there was a way to have probability that you'd still have the next possession.
Outside of an onside kick.
Onside kick, sure. Yeah. So for us, it's a unique element. Ooh, good cut, good defense.
Good defense by Zoe Bradshaw.
I think she got it on the finger, too. She's running away. No, I like the rule of the face-off. There has, though, Jim, been some talk about eliminating that as part of the men's game a little bit. I couldn't speak for the women, but it did come up as a discussion piece. But it's part of who we are. All right, there's a little strategy to get the ball. That's a good call by the coaching staff. Miller is new enough to the game that her ability to make all the right passes the right way, the right time, is a little bit difficult. And so
lost it out of bounds.
That was a strategy. Put the ball in the crease. Another player can come get it. St. Mary's is doing all the things well there, Jim. That was what we would call a ride in the men's game, and the women's game. I think it's similar. Ooh.
Another great centering pass.
Oof.
That goal by Shelby Newman, 5'3" junior, and now St. Mary's is on top here, 5-0, and we've played just almost about 7 minutes so far.
So Andy Martin there, this team is good enough to take advantage of small mistakes. Andy Martin there just looked away for a second, didn't recognize the cut her defender. The offensive player she's marking. Who was this goal scorer?
That was, I believe,
number.
Shelby Newman, I think.
Was it Newman? So unfortunately, Andy did not see the girl cut, and just that little mistake. God, it's just unfortunate because these good teams, you just need a crack in the door, and they're going to blow it open. And that was a small mistake by Andy, but it netted a goal because of the talent level of this St. Mary's team. These girls are from the heart of lacrosse. As I look up and down their roster, they're all Maryland girls for the most part. We've got, looks like one play. Actually, the whole team is Maryland. I just looked through it. They're all Maryland girls. The game is strongest in this region.
Well, you wonder how, right now going into today's action, Jason, in the women's lacrosse standing, Salisbury, Mary Washington, they were both 2-0 in the Capital Conference, and St. Mary's 1-0, and you wonder which of those three are the elite teams, or maybe the best team, because we saw Salisbury on this field about a week and a half ago, and they looked pretty good.
Yeah, well, they looked
Defending
amazing.
champs,
You know, but it's different. I can tell you, I don't know these coaches, and certainly not trying to pass judgment, just to make a generalized statement. Salisbury came in and could have scored a goal every 20 seconds, okay? But they had a philosophy, what I sat and watched for all of the first half and half of the second half. Yep. Their intent was to not score off the dodge. They ran some offense that they needed to work on, apparently. You could tell this was some stuff that they wanted to refine.
Yeah, they would take the ball behind the cage and really spread out the perimeter and just
take
pass,
their time,
pass.
And then if the cutter wasn't wide open, they didn't force it. And if somebody could have dodged, they didn't let her. They just were really going to work on some of their cutter and motion offense. They ran some weaves and some picks and cutters, and they were just – to me, it was military-like watching Salisbury, that they were all similar body types, athletically speaking. They were strong, they were fast, they were capable, and they just ran an offense. St. Mary's right now, I don't know enough about the team, and it looks like I'm trying to look at their schedule here. Their last game was a loss, so I think this. I was going to
lost to Catholic.
I was about to say this is no fun being the rebound game off of a 15-6 loss to Catholic, because
there are some really good teams in the ODAC.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, and Catholic was. So my point is, I can tell that this team's a little bit angry coming in, and I didn't know why. And now I looked at their schedule, and they're lost their last game, and that's a bad taste in their mouth. They want to get rid of that, and they're coming out with a little bit of vengeance. So is St. Mary's better than Salisbury? I don't know, because St. Mary's is being a very aggressive and very, not angry is a bad word, maybe very determined to do some things.
At least early on, yeah.
And whereas Salisbury came in knowing their ability levels against us and felt like they were going to work on something rather than just pummel us.
Speaking of which, we mentioned you guys play in men's lacrosse action tomorrow at 1 o'clock against Salisbury, and heading into today in the men's lacrosse, Frostburg, Salisbury, they were both undefeated right now, and Christopher Newport also undefeated along with York, and it makes you wonder, how do you separate those four teams in men's lacrosse?
Well,
action?
we're just entering the conference play, right? We're only a game or two in. We're one game in. We've barely just started. Sure, all the good teams haven't played each other yet. I mean, Mary Washington lost on the men's side to Salisbury.
How good is Frostburg, you think?
I pick them in the top four easily, which yet to be determined. They're better than last year, and they were the fifth best team last year. I think some teams are going through some. Mary Wash was a very good team last year. They lost a lot of their offensive power.
And we'll see you hosting Frostburg, by the way, April the 8th.
Yeah, Frostburg's going to be Frostburg, York, Salisbury, Christopher Newport. That's the top four. That's just my opinion. Mary Washington, and then St. Mary's kind of there, and then Wesley and.
So they all
Marymount,
have different styles too in men's, because the one game we did see that impressed me, Mary Washington, very patient team.
Yeah, sure. Just like I mentioned, the difference between St. Mary's women's lacrosse team today and then the Salisbury team, women's lacrosse team we saw here last week, you're going to see different thumbprints or styles, fingerprint of offense and defense. But having said that, though, Jim, nice save, Miller. God, you got to love it when a goalie's not afraid to get hit. That's just the first. People ask me all the time, what makes a great goalie?
And Zoe almost got that rebound, but then the other player from St. Mary's picked it up and then turned right around and charged toward the goal and got the shot off and scored.
Well, so a situation, again, I've said, this is a team that can take advantage of small mistakes. Cammie Miller makes a great save. Ball rebounds to the back right corner. When we approached that ground ball, we approached it with bad angles.
Yep.
When we lost the ground ball, there was a dynamic rift right through our defense. I could have run through that hole and made that wide open area and made a shot myself. So unfortunately, there's got to be more discipline about how they attack a ground ball. The energy's there, the effort's there on the defense, but the execution of angles was bad. So once St. Mary's picked it up, it was a walk in the park to come to the goal, and you don't want that. You want to make it obviously a lot more challenging.
And St. Mary's wins another draw too.
So this make it take it. Is hard. It's hard on a team. Lacrosse is a game of runs. It's the reason so many of us love the game. Things can happen quickly. That's just marking up poorly in transition. There's no excuse for that. We should be able to stay with people coming up defensively, marking up before the whistle blows on the draw. We know who we have by number. We can point and recognize, I have this person, I have that person. Unfortunately, we're lost right there. You can see a couple St. Mary offensive players running uncovered, which is never a good thing, no matter what your defense is. But
this is kind of shaping up to be like the Salisbury game in that the Knights are just having very few offensive possessions and very few shots.
Well, we've had one. We've had one offensive possession, right? 7-0. We're 9 minutes in, almost 10 minutes into the first half, and we've had one offensive possession for their at least seven. They've scored 7 goals, and so that ratio is going to hurt us. So here comes the challenge. A good St. Mary's team is going to work on a double team component. Zoe runs into a check and ends up on the ground. Zoe plays hard. I like watching Zoe.
Yeah, we've seen this all season.
She's
For a
on the
non-contact sport. Zoe Bradshaw just gets beat up a lot in every game.
Yeah. So Zoe.
And maybe it's because she's running between defenders.
Well, part of it is being more aggressive, right? If the more aggressive player is going to be on the ground a little bit more, take more punishment. Part of it's the technique of the individual. I mean, some folks you can't knock them over no matter what you do, and some are easily bumped over. And I think Zoe just has a tendency to be on the ground a little bit. I think it's great personally because you know what? She's working hard. The ball's on her stick. There's a lot of girls that don't even touch the ball in the game. So for Zoe to be on the ground a lot, so what? I mean, she gets fouls. There's the left clear.
Hoteling almost got it in, but the goalie made the stop.
Yeah, that's the piece that we want to see. Claire. So we're teaching a dodging offense here. These coaches, not me, I should say, but Coach Weber, Coach Sorensen. That's a dodging offense. It's meant to have, like I said, isolation for the best players. St. Mary's, whether you notice or not, the last 2 times, they're allowing Claire to have her left hand but not her right. That was a left-handed shot by Claire, and it wasn't strong enough. I like the location, but it was more of a pass. But give credit to St. Mary's. They've obviously done a scouting report. We've lost somebody. Scouting report says number 7 for Southern Virginia is all right-handed. And as I've told Rainey and Claire and Zoe, the top girls offensively, you've got to have both hands if you're going to be a dodging offensive player. If you're going to be a feeding offensive player, that's a little different. You can feed in a single hand.
Otherwise, they'll just play your handicap.
Well, and that's what they're doing. They're overshading Claire's right hand, making her go left. If you don't have both hands, golly, there's a cannon. That's number 17. Is that Allie Mullis? Allie, I hope I said your name right. Allie Mullis is from
sophomore. Yeah.
Sophomore from Centerville, Queen Anne's County. So
I have noticed that Darian
powerful.
Sorensen from the Knights seems to be doing a lot of guarding on Poffenberger, and of course she's only scored 1 goal, I believe, so far.
Well, good to see. Again, I trust our coaches have done their homework and know who to slow down. And even though she got that first goal, Sorensen is a great defender. She's mature and one of the leaders on the defense. And her brother, obviously, is the coach. So she has been around the game. She's from Poway. It's a great program out in San Diego. So, that's great. So when you play an average team and you shut down their best person, you have a chance to win. When you play a great team and you shut down their best player, guess what? They got another 6 coming right back at you. So that's the mark of a good team.
Well, we saw that with Salisbury last weekend. Again, a roster that's maybe 2-3 times the size of Southern Virginia. A lot of different combinations they can throw at you.
And we'll get there, Jim. You know what? We've worked hard as a staff, both as coaches and administration, and we've put the money where it needs to be. The coaches are out recruiting. These streamcasts. Thanks again to Art Fuller and Craig Reese. These streamcasts and their team. This gives us the opportunity to say, hey, look, we're not there. It's obvious. We don't have all the bodies. But look at the setup. Look at the venue, the scoreboard. Look at the stream. Look at we're proud of who we are and where we're headed. People forget, Jim, another goal.
Mary Beth Anderson gets that one.
And on the restart from Phoenix, Maryland, Delaney High School. People don't realize, Jim, this is year 3 of the NCAA. We're still a provisional member.
Right.
Which means if we don't keep dot our I's and cross our T's and all the things we need to do, they may not grant us the full membership. And now we're on track. We have no reason to believe that ain't going to happen. But the point is, we're still learning how to do this NCAA thing. This is a campus that only a few years ago was playing, USCAA, NAIA, kind of the, it's a whole different thing.
Kind of a hodgepodge schedule.
Yeah, well, you throw it together. You're independents. You're not in a conference, and you're not playing, the best talent the sport has to offer, no matter what sport you are. So basketball, football, lacrosse, it doesn't.
And I don't know how it compares. I don't know if you can make comparisons between, let's say, advancing a program to catch up to other capital teams. Let's say not for football, obviously New Jersey conference there, but trying to, let's say, advance in basketball or advance in baseball or advance in lacrosse.
Well, there's no doubt, Jim. I mean, this is where I live it every day. Is I've accepted the assignment and the opportunity to be athletic director. I did only come here to coach lacrosse, which is my passion, but it was apparent that I could help in this way too. And so to be the athletic director is an absolute privilege. But every day I'm focused on that very point, Jim. And what it comes down to for us, we have to have 4-year players. When you have a team that you have, not the whole team, obviously, the ratio would be wrong, but if you've got, and this lacrosse team, if you had 5 or 6 girls, great check, Zoe. Way to help down.
Now, are you talking about 4 years straight, 4 years, or 4 years total?
No, well, because of the mission component, you may not have 4 years straight.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
Although now they're allowed to take their missions right out of high school.
For the
so you
for
could
the
have
guys,
a lot
for the
of 4
guys.
years.
Yeah, for the guys, but not for the girls. So the girls would be, they for sure.
Would you like to see that change, by the way?
The girls' age?
Where they can go out of high school.
I probably won't, Jim, because of the factor of them being out at the same age at the same time.
Right.
One of the things, as you can appreciate, we don't want is our missionaries, so if the girls are older and the boys are younger,
true enough,
we kind of, that's well thought out, I think. And so that will always stay, that the girls can leave at 19, the guys can leave at 18, so the girls will hopefully be older, and they're already more mature anyway, but it should work out that the missing age change would be a group of individuals.
Makes you wonder, though, if we're going to start to see that for the men, I guess, at least, where they're going to be coming right out of high school, taking their mission, and playing 4 years of whatever sport they want to play.
Well, we want it that way. Now, my son, so I have, I've got a daughter serving a mission in Chile, 2 boys who just came home, one from Mexico, one from Peru. The boys went on, they were before the mission age change. They went on their missions after a year of college. I have a son who just got his mission call. He's going to Mongolia. It's incredible.
Wow.
And but he did a year here at Southern Virginia before going. So it's a personal thing. If you want to come right out of high school, great. If you want to spend a year at college before you go, that's great too. But back to the point, we're going to do great in this conference. We're going to be a great Division III group. Collectively, we're going to compete. There's no doubt about it. We have to grow in our rosters to where we have the right ratio of 4-year players, 4th-year players that, whether they went on a mission or not, or when they got those 4 years consecutively or not. The point is, we need to have 5 or 6 girls out right now that this is their 4th year playing in this conference. Well, guess what? We got maybe 3 girls that were on the team last year.
Right.
And so you just don't have enough experience. You have too much newness every year. But that's changing. I've got 26 guys. I fully expect 20 of them back next year. I've got a few going on missions and one that's graduating. But
my question is for you, and we asked this when we were doing the men's game a couple of days ago and had Jordan on, is how do you keep the kids keep their heads up?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a great question, and it comes up among the coaches. I meet with our coaches weekly, which nobody does in our good
nice
cut.
Oh, it looked like
she got a piece of
Cammy, yeah, almost like was going to stop that shot, but it went in.
Defensively, Erica Golder on defense there. You know things are not good when the defender's trailing on that cut. We would like, obviously, our defender to be ahead of the cutter, but we can't see in the camera angle, which is fine. It's a perfect angle, but you can't see how the offense is working a lot of the pick action way above the goal, and so what we only see is the tail end of that of, here comes an offensive player.
How did she get so open? Yeah.
It's that spaghetti 3 or 4 girls working a merry-go-round of picks and off of each other, and all of a sudden one of them has an advantage and takes off and ends up so one of those 3 offensive players will move in that triple pick action till you have an advantage, and unless you have an advantage, you don't cut down. So once
and a rule that we weren't even aware of, or at least didn't focus on, that you told me about before the game. Once the score gets to a certain level, up until the last 2 minutes, clock runs.
Yeah, and we're already in it. Not not anything we're excited to talk about at this point, but it is what it is. So we're at a 10-0 score with 14 minutes to go. And so for the rest of the game, if there is a 10-goal difference, clock will run. Hopefully we can do some things to get out of that, whether it's possess and score, or whether we just can defend here and slow down. But to finish up that comment, Jim, we're going to be okay when we get a balance of players that are here from year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and then we have the experience that other teams have. I mean, as I look at the St. Mary's roster, they've got looks like only a few seniors, a tremendous junior class, so 6 or 7, 8 juniors.
Yeah.
So they're poised to be great this year, poised to be great again next year. But that's where, as I look at our roster, we've got one senior, Mara. Sam and Mara. But even Sam and Mara wasn't here last year. Sam played last year, and a lot of freshmen and sophomores. I guess a couple of juniors, which is good. It looks like Amanda, Zoe. But Amanda was, Zoe, dual athlete. Darian is a junior too. So
I mean, your roster, you got a lot of young talent. Casey Rich.
Yep.
Anthony Good, yeah.
Casey's a stud.
Got a lot of freshmen.
You got a lot of stud. But even Casey, as great as he is, when he was at Syracuse his freshman year out of high school, he did not play in the spring. So they redshirted him. So this is, believe it or not, this spring is his first game experience out of high school. And that's quite a few years removed because of a year at Syracuse, a year up in Utah, and then 2 years on a mission. So, you get a guy who's 4 years removed from high school, should be graduating per se, but so as great as he is, he's still learning a lot about the game, and that's okay because he's our best player, but I still give him, the space that a freshman should have to learn and grow into the game because they're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Although we've seen a lot of good players for the men's team, like I say, Anthony Good, Ryan Larson, Mike Bangerter, Sean Peterson,
you got it all.
Russell Anderson.
Yeah, they are great guys, and that's the offensive guys. And defensively, Greg Gowdy, who's got hurt. He had a staph infection. Colin Maxfield's doing a great job. Marcel Blake's a great job.
Turnbull, yeah.
Man, yeah, I could go through.
And of course, Derek.
Yeah, Derek's doing well. Derek's we're up in the air whether or not he'll start tomorrow. We've got we're looking at some options, trying to keep things competitive. We've brought a player who's played some goalie work in this week to play in practice, named Sean Takala, and he's played multiple positions. But sure, I love Derek for all reasons. One of the things this team needs is just good competition by position, and we're getting that. So we'll see.
Still trying to figure out what happened in the second half against St. Mary's now. Because that was a really competitive game into the third period, and then things just kind of unraveled, I guess.
2 days of therapy, and I had it past me now. Now you got to bring it back. Well, first of all, before we talk about our game, what a great job by St. Mary's here. This is clearly good coaching with the strategy to say, let's, and I've done this before as a coach. I would say to my team, put the pedal to the metal until we get to a point. I would say either 5 goals or 10 goals or whatever the strategy was. Clearly, St. Mary's says we're going to go and we're going to get that Catholic game, taste out of our mouth, and we're going to go hard and play our brand.
Right.
Whether Southern Virginia can keep up with us or not, we're going to go pedal to the metal. And they've shown multiple ways to score: transition, cutters, dodging, off picks, and then so now what's the strategy? Well, the strategy now is we're going to kill some time. Well, not because we want to, not because we have to, but because we want to.
Kind of like Salisbury.
Yeah, we're going to kill some time. We're going to spread the offense out, and then at the end of a certain amount of time, then we'll go to the goal. So,
although in doing this, they're really making the Knights work chasing the ball around.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
Now the coach in me, the Southern Virginia lacrosse coach, can come out a little critical. We don't have to chase. You don't have to go out. You could stay in and let them pass the ball around and just stay in and protect the house, if you will, or protect the inner core of your defense.
Well, you get the feeling they want to get the ball and go on one of their offensive possessions. They haven't had that many yet today.
Yeah, true, but unless you have the ability to take the ball away, you're just trying to do something you're not good at. And what we can be good at is a tight, good defense. There, we went for a double team. All right, Rainey Whitworth went to double. We're all spread out, and the belly of the defense becomes naked. You got to have a strategy. We got a girl who can't find her man, so it looks like that might have worked itself out. But if you press out like this, you have no chance to help. There's no help defense when you press out. Frankly, it's not something that I would think you want to do always. If let's say they're playing a team today that on the same level, same ability, is that what you're going to do against that team? Are you going to press out and try to take the ball?
Like the Columbia game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not if it's not in what you normally do. Why would you do it against a team that's is up on you 10-0? My strategy would be pack it in. Nice save, Cammy.
Yeah,
that was a great quick stick by Meg Gessner. Meg's a sophomore from Savannah Park. All these great lacrosse schools. Man, I know from the guys' side, when I say the names of these schools, shivers go down my back. This is some great lacrosse programs. But again, I'm talking strategy. If you allow me a little bit here, is to say, don't do what you wouldn't do in a game that you can win, by a goal or two. I mean, what's your strategy? Is your strategy takeaway, or is your strategy to just set in and play good defense? So now we're all over the field pressed out, marking up, and we're giving up some easy looks. This was a shooting space violation. Craig, Jim, and we were talking about this before. We had a defender run into, and I think it was Darian, to defend. She got into the shooting space, which means that that becomes an 8-meter free shot, which is like a free throw in basketball. So.
And St. Mary's elects not to take the shot.
That's again another mark of a great team. One of the things I tell all my guys is don't take something just because you can.
They'll take that one.
You got to make the right play.
That was Maggie Wagner getting that goal, a junior from Baltimore.
Lockhaven, yeah. So to my point, the first shooter could have shot a bad shot and may even got a call for a dangerous shot because there were defenders in front of her. She pulls the ball out. We get the ball to another player who ends up being Wagner. Wagner makes a nice inside roll. There's no help defense because we're spread out. And there we get an easy goal. So my point, Jim, just like basketball, you can play a zone, you can play a trap defense in basketball, you can play a man-to-man, switch, no switch. There's a lot of things you can do in defense, right? But every defense has an objective. Is it a takeaway? Is it a limit inside looks, or is it to limit three-point shots, or is it to limit certain people shooting? Every defense has a thumbprint. Well, I would advocate then here we are hopefully, and Coach Weber I know is working relentlessly on this, let's come up with a thumbprint. What is the defense at Southern Virginia? You could say by watching this for the first time, we're a chase defense.
Yep.
And I don't know that that's what we want to be. We want to be a defense that says, hey, we pack it in, we mark in, we make it hard for somebody to get inside.
So what you're saying is have your defense just stick with that defense no matter who the opponent is.
Well, stick with them, but you don't have to be covering them further out and or attempting to take the ball away.
Well, so Virginia will have the ball now.
We will, which is great. Taking the ball away is a skill set. Would you agree? I mean, like in basketball, to a steal is a skill set. In lacrosse, the ability to take the ball away is a skill set. It's called a takeaway. I don't coach it.
Would that be the same for a goalie to not only stop the shot but gain possession?
Well, the better goalies are going to make saves. They're going to keep the possession in their ball in the stick. They're not going to lose the ball. They're going to do a better job of keeping the ball in their stick just because of experience. And again, Cammie's phenomenal because she's not afraid of the ball. Gotta love her. All that she does, gotta love it. But so again. I'm just saying. So here's the strategy. What you could say. What does St. Mary's do when you're trying to clear the ball? They swarm you. They double. They triple team you.
They contain you.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is what's our defense? Well, our defense is spread out, porous, no double teams, and we're chasing at all extremes of the field. Which I'll be honest, it makes scoring goals easier. I'm an offensive coach. I would love to see defenses chase us. If they chase and if we spread out and they chase us, it's easier to score.
Now, do you have kind of like basketball? I've talked with Mike about this. I mean, do you pretty much know exactly what you want to do, or
come on, Zoe?
Is it year to year?
Yeah,
Zoe finally gets a goal.
Sorry, I got excited. Zoe, way to go! Nice high shot. She didn't get a lot on it, temperature or speed wise, but
she does a lot of running in a game.
She got a good shot in that corner. Opposite goalie's right-handed. The hardest save to make, Jim, is opposite stick side high. And so even though she got one by Kayla Dunn, right? She's the goalkeeper, yep.
That was
Kayla's a righty, and Zoe shot opposite the hardest shot to save. So
that's
great
her
job,
14th
Zoe.
goal, by the way.
Yeah, she. I haven't memorized the stats as I should, but it looks like she's the second leading scorer, right?
Yeah, right behind Rainey.
Yep.
So we were talking about, the roster. I mean, your philosophy, let's say for your men's lacrosse team, do you pretty much go with your philosophy no matter what the roster looks like, or is it going to be contingent upon what you've got to work with?
You meaning like how many kids do I want total? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or just your what you would like to
Yeah,
see the team do defensively.
Rainey Whitworth goes in and steals. This is what we like to see out of her. She can needle through. Oh, they're going to call a charge. That's one of the hardest calls. In basketball, you've got to establish position, right? Well, I don't know what the deal is in women's lacrosse, but you run somebody over, they could be spinning and turning, but the mere fact that you knocked them over gives the ball back to them. I guess it's a be in control kind of thing.
Would you like to see that changed, where you got to be set?
Well, it should be. I mean, it's not fair to the offensive player that a defender, by fault of inability lack of ability athletically, is in the wrong place, or by strategy,
and I don't know, is flopping a problem in lacrosse?
Well, you don't have to, because if you run into her, period, you get the call.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to flop. You can turn around backwards. You can stand there. You can. It's incumbent on the offensive player to be in control, which is, again, from a safety standpoint, it makes sense. But
well, I've often wondered on these penalties, maybe especially the women's game, is how much is left up to the discretion of the referees.
Yeah, well, a lot. I mean, it's all the rules are interpretive, just like a lot of sports, right? A foul in basketball, pass interference in football. It's tough, It's a game with a lot of calls. In my opinion, I think the women's game has too many rules. I know the intent is safety, which you can never question, but I think the game can be safe without some of the stuff that we have.
How often in a men's game are you left scratching your head by referees, call or non-call?
Yeah, well, for me as a coach, I've screwed up long enough and done coached enough games to where I've learned that. I worry more about the calls that are made. I don't worry about the calls that aren't made. Some coaches are mad. Well, that was a slash.
Right.
Hey, good.
Another goal.
So there's a strong shot. Meg Gessner's the sophomore from Savannah Park. She catches that ball in the inside right hand. It's an awkward place to catch and shoot. She switches to the left and powers that shot in with authority.
We also noticed that as soon as Southern Virginia scored, they went back on the offensive.
Yeah, well, but while we're talking, and I'm keeping track visually, they're possessing that ball for a while. They could have scored in the first, charge over midfield, but they're setting things up. They're also behind the camera. We can't tell, doing some. I've noticed they're running some subs. They're running players on and off by way of specialty, offensive, defense. So they're setting some things up, but they've got some explosive offensive players.
Tell you one thing,
there,
despite the records, both the men's and the women's team just never give up. I mean, you can see the women out there continuing to fight, and I know you guys had a tough game at St. Mary's, but a great comeback before that against Cobleskill.
Yeah, so Cobleskill was a lot of fun.
Scoring 4 goals in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, we watched.
Did you expect that comeback, by the way?
No. I mean, wanted it. Oh, good backdoor cut.
That goal
3.
by Elizabeth Castaro.
Yeah, D'Agostero is a junior from Bel Air. Again, C. Milton Wright. We're losing, marking out who we cover there. We're losing in transition, making it a little bit easier on St. Mary's to find open players defensively there. I think that was Danielle Bybee, who, great girl, another Poway girl from San Diego. Part of this is experience. Part of this is just pure talent. Part of this is, theory or strategy that, makes this seamlessly easy on St. Mary's to get what they want. But then again, the thing that I'm impressed with is I can tell that they're taking what's available.
Right.
If we make a mistake, like right there, we lose track of somebody for a second, they're going to take advantage. So
I think it's going to be interesting once St. Mary's meets up with Salisbury.
Yeah, sure. Some of these great, and that's the reason I love being in the CAC. And it's not just lacrosse, although lacrosse is a powerful sport in the Capital Athletic Conference, but certainly other sports.
Wouldn't you agree that the lacrosse for both men and women, maybe that's the Capital's best sport? I know they're good at other sports like basketball and everything, but it's hard to imagine them being better in other sports than they are in lacrosse.
I don't know. There's a statistical way to prove that, so I can be biased as a lacrosse guy and say you're absolutely right, Jim. But I think you'd have to look at the stats, and then and some sports could tell you otherwise. Look, when it comes to
national championships will be one guy. I guess.
So Salisbury, 2-time national champs, no doubt. And the men to have last year 3 teams finish in the top 25, 3 teams making it to the NCAA tournament. The only conference in the men last year to have 3 teams in the NCAA tournament. So absolutely. I feel that men's lacrosse is extremely powerful, um, and I feel fortunate. I left Notre Dame when I found out that we joined the CAC. That changed everything for me. I felt like I was excited to get back to be with Mormon athletes, and in this atmosphere, it meant a lot to me having been at BYU, but not an NCAA sport. The men's lacrosse team there is a club team,
But as you mentioned,
and
a tall mountain to climb.
yeah, well,
Uh,
but that for me at my age and my career, this is what I want. This
yeah.
is the challenge that I want. So, and I'm excited about it, and I feel that it's obtainable. We're far away because of how great they are. These teams, we are far away because how great they are. But I'm telling you, we can get there as we get the right amount of athletes that put the right amount of time in, and we'll be a contender. I don't doubt it.
Well, we're at halftime here, and St. Mary's leads at halftime. St. Mary's on top of Southern Virginia here at halftime of the women's lacrosse game here at the Fields at Southern Virginia University. Halftime score: St. Mary's 13, SVU 1. We'll take a little break and come back for second half action, so stay with us. Welcome back to Southern Virginia Women's Lacrosse. Jim Bresnahan, Jason Lamb. Halftime score, St. Mary's 13, Southern Virginia 1. And Jason, the numbers bear out the score 13-1, especially shots by period, 17-4 advantage there for St. Mary's.
Yeah, the numbers are going to jump out at you. Not something.
Look at Tori Poffenberger.
No
They did a
surprise.
pretty good job on her. Only one goal. Got the first goal of the game, I think. And, of course, she came in with 31 as a season total.
Well, speaks true of a great team, right? Look at this. They've got 13 goals, and only two girls. Two girls have 2 goals.
Yep.
Lizzie D'Agostero and Christy Bishop have 2. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 girls with a goal, and then 2 girls with 2 goals. Look at that distribution. I've said it earlier in the broadcast. This is a well-coached, well-balanced team. I wouldn't be surprised if this team doesn't not only do well at the CAC level, but beyond. But having said that, they just came off this loss to Catholic, so who knows what I'm talking about. But I'm very impressed in the balance.
Well, maybe Catholic was an aberration. I think they played Washington Lee at Washington Lee, lost that game, but only by 1.
And Washington Lee is number 10
right.
at the time, D3 poll. They ended up beating Washington College, ranked number 17, 10-9. So they've had some battles. I don't know anything about Catholics, so hats off. Well, Catholics ranked 13th in the nation, so it's not like they lost to a nobody.
Yeah, and sometimes, is it true that sometimes you just have an off night?
Any given day. It's why we love sports, right? It's why we do what we do, even though our wives and friends think we're nuts. No, we love sports.
So really quick, Jason, what's the aim here for the Knights in the second half, down by 12 as we start the second half?
Look, I can't speak for Coach Weber. She's phenomenal. We're lucky to have her. She's coming over from Charlottesville. She built a powerhouse at Western Albemarle, and we fully expect, and I have no doubt in my mind she'll do the same here. So I can't speak for her. I don't know her strategies well enough. This is year 1. For me, my strategy would be to implement the defense or the offense that will allow us to gain an identity for the future games to come.
That's my question. Are you really playing in a situation like this to try to outscore them in the second half, or are you playing for future games, trying to really gear up the team for future games?
Well, look, a game is a practice. It can be a practice. It can be an experience where you get better, or it can be an experience where you get worse. And I would hope and I would think that the strategy here is going to be, let's settle in and do what we're good at. Let's do what we can do. Let's not be something we can't be. So whatever that is, let's do it better. Marking up or defending or help defense, or whether we're going to play aggressive or passive. Look, I couldn't tell you what Coach Weber's wanting, but I would hope that the strategy is to settle in, do what we can do, try not to be what we can't. What can we do, Jim? I would say there's no reason why we can't make it harder for them to score. Now, right now, St. Mary's is showing extreme sportsmanship. They're pressing away from the goal. They're running big cutters rather than...
You would imagine they'll do this the remainder or most of the second half?
Well, with the running clock and because they can do anything that they want, I think that they're choosing to just possess the ball extensively.
Stepped out of bounds there.
Yeah, she did. And so they're being absolutely kind. And look, as a coach, Jim, this is you're going to get to know me on these broadcasts. This is what makes me angry, though. If I'm Coach Weber, I don't want anybody to be nice to me, but they have to be. I mean, this could be 33-1 right now.
I myself have never understood the complaint, especially if you've got second and third teamers in there, that complain against so-called running it up.
Yeah, you got to let them play.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're, there is a, yeah, well.
Well, maybe to a certain degree. But,
but letting other girls play, St. Mary's, I mean, I'm seeing some new numbers out there, but.
You put second, third teamers in, they want to play.
Yeah, well, and more importantly, they should learn the habits so they can become good enough to take the spots of the girls ahead of them. Why do things? But again, it's not like St. Mary's is gaining bad habits; they're just being kind. But I would go back to the point about us here defensively. What are the things we want to do against a team that's in our wheelhouse? Against a team that's at our ability level. Illegal stick check there. Oh, they're not going to call that on Claire. They're calling that on Rainey, which is an illegal stick check.
Talk about that really quick, because Claire, over the restraining line, or in the restraining area, I guess, actually swatted for the offensive area.
So I called that wrong. It wouldn't have been an illegal check because Claire, Hootailing, she she checked the ball out, but I think the call there, Jim, was kind of like an illegal cross check. Rainey ended up shoving the girl towards Claire, and I think that's the call, was that illegal shove, if you will, whereas Claire's check probably was legal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they ended up putting Rainey behind the offensive player because she caused the foul, whereas it wasn't Claire. But,
so, Jason, what's your battle plan for tomorrow?
Good point. A good question. For
You got
me,
Salisbury at 1 o'clock.
so last week we didn't finish talking about this. At St. Mary's a week ago, Saturday, we 10-7 at the end of the first half. Now that was our best game ever. Our first half, our best half ever
but then
at Southern Virginia.
16-1 in the second
yeah,
half.
and the wheels came off. But
Yeah.
so we ended up losing our mojo, if you will. We had good momentum and we had good energy about us. We were doing good things.
If I remember the box score, Casey scored the only goal and got it in the third period.
Yeah,
Right?
well, but because what happened is the ugly reality of what we can be showed up, and that was just everything went wrong. We're literally, the wheels came off. We couldn't win a face-off. We couldn't clear. Goalie couldn't make a save. Offense couldn't possess the ball. And then St. Mary's woke up. That was their first home game, so they were kind of jittery. We took advantage of that in the first half, and I calculatively knew that we could play that card and went a little aggressive in some things. And
Well, how big is momentum in lacrosse?
huge. I was saying earlier, it's a game of runs. With the make it, take it, face-off component or draw component, you can get in a run of 3 or 4 goals. Certainly the run here from St. Mary's. But even in games where you play evenly matched two teams that are evenly matched, you could see one team go on a 3-4 goal, 5 goal run just like that. And you mentioned that Cobleskill game. There are two teams fairly evenly matched, and we go up 8-4, then they get to the point where they're up.
You guys actually jumped on top 5-1 early, and we thought that game was going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
Then suddenly they shift, and they've got a 10-7 lead with 4 minutes to go, and they're probably wondering how they lost.
They're thinking, warm up the bus, we're going home, and then we do what we did. That's what makes the game fun. You take evenly matched teams, and you're going to see runs. Absolutely. Great opportunity there for Claire, 8-meter shot. And an incredible save. This is the new goalie, Lexi Thorne, who is the freshman from Riva, Maryland, St. Vincent Bellotti. She steps in for second half action. Rainey ends up getting an 8-meter shot. Does not get enough on it, I'll be honest. It was Claire. Claire got the shot there and didn't get enough.
Must be nice to have a backup goal you can toss in like this.
Salisbury ran 4 goalies.
Right, I saw that. Yes.
They were changing them. And midway through the half, they put a goalie in, and then 2 more in the second half. So they had. But they didn't have a big roster, Jim. I think Salisbury's roster was maybe 28 or 30, but they had 4 goalies, which I thought was interesting.
A lot of underclassmen.
So
yeah.
This is one of those rules, Jim, we were talking about at halftime. These are the differences between the men and the women. There's no timers on the game of women's lacrosse, meaning you can take forever.
So the goalie, Thorne, right there, could have held it for 23 minutes?
Yep, that could have been the last play of the game for the next 23 minutes.
Mm.
But that's by permission of Southern Virginia.
Sure.
If Southern Virginia chooses not to mark up or play the goalie can stand there for an eternity.
Nice pass in front, and that was either a high shot or a pass to back.
Wide open. Carrie Klein carries a freshman from Hagerstown, Maryland, St. James School. She ended up making a cut through the middle. She was unmarked, wide open, still is a little bit. Now she's covered, but missed the goal high. That's a great shot. I teach our offensive players, I'd rather you shoot and miss the goal than shoot and then let the goalie have the ball.
I'm sure a lot of fans want to know how these players are going to determine whether they're going to shoot high or low.
Well, so back to my comment. To me, location of the shot, high or low, is not as important as is the fact that there's only one bad outcome on a shot, and that's when the goalie has the ball. Unfortunately, right there, that didn't happen. Bryn Miller is a freshman from Frederick, Maryland, Urbana. She ended up drilling that shot, although this is that call we talked about, right. Craig, you and I. We had an illegal defensive play, and so the goal gets removed.
But then
and
another goal.
She gets to take the free 8-meter shot.
So Bryn Miller got it.
Yeah. So but that's that rule, and I shouldn't laugh. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I don't understand how when you penalize the offense for a defensive foul, the offensive player scores, defense made the error, but in that case, you take the goal off because of the defensive error, a defensive foul, if you will. Now, of course, Bryn stepped up like a champ and took the 8-meter shot and got the eventual goal she deserved. But don't know that I like that rule a whole lot. it's a penalty to the defense, but but you end up hurting the offense in turn.
Well, you can see some of the frustration on some of the Knights players' faces. Saw Rainey Whitworth there, and they're just trying to get things together here in the second half. Down here, 14-1 now.
Well, they got to get comfortable. They know they're playing a better opponent. They know they're playing a team that can do a lot of things to hurt us, and we got to do the little things. I'll tell you, for us, the men's team, we're on a tirade right now to win ground balls. That's a stat that has nothing to do with ability. It has everything to do with effort. We're right now at almost we're close to 50-50. So we may lose and
a stat that's really underappreciated.
Yeah, because it's an effort stat.
No.
I don't know if the women, if that's a point of emphasis at half. Ground balls were 4-1. I don't know how accurate the stat is. It probably is. On the men's side, you'll have 20 ground balls and a half divided between two teams, 20 or 30 ground balls and a half. And so we want to be the team that says, okay, we may not win this game. We're down by a handful, but we're going to work hard, and we're going to be a team that at the end of the game we're going to be the better ground ball team.
How important are two other? There's another goal for St. Mary's. Draws one.
Carrie Klein on that cut. Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
And draws one, and I've never seen the stat. I don't know if the coaches keep it. Time of possession.
Well, it's not monitored in lacrosse like it is, say, for football,
right.
Where you look at the end of the game and you can say that this football team had X amount of time of possession. And truthfully, as we know in football, time of possession doesn't usually equate to wins. It's more about turnovers in football, from what I understand, right? But time of possession does matter. But in women's lacrosse or in men's lacrosse, it's critical. Because
maybe it's just a tough stat to keep.
Well, you'd have to have
the coaches don't keep it, right?
No, I think it could be, charted. I did some film work at Notre Dame, and it was one of the pieces that I did chart, but it was after the game, more from the standpoint of, how much possession time did our offense have versus the opponent, and if it was lopsided.
I was thinking that your loss to Mary Washington, they had good time of possession.
They did. They did.
But they were a very patient team.
Sure, they did. And time of possession does a lot of things. I tell my guys all the time, there's three outcomes that are all positive when you have the ball on offense. There's three. The obvious is a goal, but it's the least important in a lot of situations. Time of possession is more important. It's better to score. Now, people would argue with me, of course, but for me and our team is what I'm saying is that we need possession time. We'll score or we'll go man up. Those are three outcomes that you want out of a possession. Man up is the penalty component.
Yep.
In us, which is a person goes to the penalty box, which is different than the women. For us, it's more like hockey. You get one person extra on offense. But so possession time, opportunity to go man up, or a goal. But the worst of all things, which we're experiencing
maybe
today.
It all depends on what the score is.
Claire getting her left hand again. Good double down by Megan Cannon.
Oh, nice deal.
Freshman from Notre Dame Preparatory School. So, yeah, it's a short possession. We're talking about possessions, and Jim, we witnessed a quick turnover. Offensively, I would think we could take from their book. We could spread out, pass it around, possess a little bit, take the, it's like riding time in wrestling. It needs to be equal as much as possible to kind of. But when you're on the bottom, when you're on the lower end of time of possession, it's really hard.
And we've seen that again. Not only the possessions where we have turnovers, Jason, but the Knights maybe out of necessity. We'll see a lot more 1-1 from the Knights, specifically Rainey and Zoe, as opposed to some of these other teams like Salisbury and St. Mary's, which really do possess and pass.
Well, tough call right now.
Oh, nice pass there. But
Erica Golder. Right now, Erica, who's hands on knees in this clip, number 14, she was the token double team. And what was happening was it was a clear decision by Southern Virginia to be more aggressive now and to send two defenders to the ball. It's hard, a lot of work, and Erica about ran herself ragged there. But that was a strategy I liked watching, that at least somewhere from the sideline there was a call in.
Not a good pass there by Cammie.
Cammie with
and a goal off the ground and in. Cammie tried to get it to Rainey, but threw it right to the women's player from St. Mary's, who then turned right around and put it right in the net.
Yeah, that looks like Rachel Tabler. I hope I said that right. Tabler? Mm-hmm. I think it's Tabler. She's a freshman from Manchester Valley, Maryland. take a bad pass option by Cammy, and then and a good team turns around and brings it right back down, right down your throat. But
kind of surprising that she made that pass with the player that close to Rainey.
well, what happens when you play so much defense, like we're playing now, and you're down, and you're on TV, or whether you think about that or not, but you're in front of your fans here
Right.
and at home on open. We've got recruits here with the women's team. I met them before the game on the sideline, so the pressure's on to do well. Well, all of a sudden you're playing a lot of defense. You're down by 14 goals. Frustration sets in. Fatigue sets in. You're playing a lot of defense. I tell you right now, our offensive players are not worn out. It's our defensive players, and so frustration, fatigue. And then it just becomes easier to score. St. Mary's is going to have an easier each one of these goals is going to require less effort because of the fatigue and the confidence and the energy at the beginning of the game, played in our favor defensively, and it's going to becomes harder.
Well, the Knights trail right now 15-1, 16:08 to go. And again, coming up on Saturday, we'll have the men's lacrosse game, Saturday, 1 o'clock against Salisbury. So what do we look for in your battle with Salisbury? What kind of team does Salisbury have?
Extremely talented as always. We're hoping to, keep the game close and keep it complicated, or at least frustrate them a little bit, but not by anything we're doing strategically, other than just battling and staying in the game. We're not going to be tricky. We're not going to try to take the ball away. We're not going to, do the things that we're not. We're going to try to settle in and play good 6-on-6 defense. We're going to possess the ball on offense. We feel that we have the capability to score and defend, but we've got to eliminate the mental errors we've created in, the St. Mary's game last week, where we're just doing mentally dumb things, and all of a sudden it makes it, like I said, makes it easier on the other team to score. So Salisbury has the ability to open a big can on us, but I think we showed last week against St. Mary's we have the ability to keep the game close.
Well, we talked about how this St. Mary's team for the women compares to the Salisbury women, and gets me to thinking about Salisbury, the men, how they maybe compare to Frostburg.
I haven't seen film on Frostburg yet. I take it 1 week at a time. We're not at that point.
You don't get them until April the 8th.
Yeah, we're not that point as a program where I want to be looking at anything more than just one opponent
Right.
away. So I've been looking at all the Salisbury film this week, but not sure. Frostburg's scores are impressive, so no doubt they look good. But I haven't watched them on film, but I got to watch Christopher Newport earlier in the month go up and play. Good shot inside. Good lefty play. It's fun to watch Carrie Klein. She's not. I don't know. I think she's a righty, but that was a great lefty look. Shot there. Again, speaks to the ambidextrous ability of these girls for St. Mary's. If you don't know which hand they are, that just speaks to how great they are. And here goes Rainey again, super athlete. Proud to have her on the program, as I am all the girls. They all work hard. I love seeing them coming in and out of the weight room. I love seeing the way they work in practice. Good call there, Jim. Great call. That was a timeout. Southern Virginia, we're going to keep the possession, give the girls a break. Good job, Coach Weber. 14-goal deficit, but...
Rainey's got 25 goals this season, yet to score today. The only goal that the Knights have came from Zoe Bradshaw, so Rainey's got 14 more minutes to get a goal here.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe that's important to her. She's a team player. I know that she's going to be interested in seeing the girls close the gap up here, slow the game down, and bring bring the game closer as we wrap up into the end of the game. But Rainey's special. She came from SCAD. She took a chance on us. I'll tell you that.
Heck of an athlete.
Well, she's good enough to be at other programs, but as a great girl, it chose to be a part of the build. I tell my guys too. You're part of the building process. You're not coming in to maintain greatness. You're here to build greatness.
Yeah, Jordan talked about that, the building blocks, and every sport here at SVU is like that.
We are now. I mean, look
at the guys from the 2007 football team, first team to get a winning record.
Yep.
So
yeah, and teams at Southern Virginia have had super years. We've had national champions in the club ranks. I'm sorry, not the club, the NAIA or the USCAA ranks.
Yep.
So we've had some real championships, wrestling and cross country and soccer, volleyball, basketball. We've had some champion sports here. But as we've made this tremendous leap into the NCAA Division III. We're playing very well-established athletic programs.
And you got to take baby steps. I mean, in some of these sports right now, it would be just a great achievement in a lot of these sports just to make the Capital Tournament. As we saw in volleyball.
Yeah, it would, absolutely. No doubt. I mean, to be one of the top 6 to get into the tournament, and then to advance and to play through to get to the opportunity to be a champion in the CAC. That's tremendous. I've said this before, I think on broadcast with you. This feels like the I'm not biased to one conference over another, but one of the Big Five. This is like one of the Big Fives. But in Division III, this is one of the most powerful athletic conferences in Division III.
I was going to ask you how in lacrosse, we talked about maybe the Capital, maybe lacrosse being arguably their best sport year in, year out for men and women. How does the Capital for both men and women compare to the ODAC for lacrosse?
I don't know the ODAC really well. I had the privilege, fun, last spring. I took my son, and we went and watched the ODAC semifinals. So this was they do a Final Four format. Look at Zoe just weep through. Super athlete. See if she gets to a point where she can get a shot off. But she did a great job there. Great shot. Great angle to see her and be athletic. Get the ball into the offensive half. You'll see number 4. She can't cross that blue line.
Yeah, Zoe was taking a look behind her.
I don't know the call here because the call would be away from the action, something that would have happened more inside. But
I'd like to see maybe more matchups with some of these ODAC schools.
Yeah,
WNL maybe. Huh?
The ODAC is a better fit for us geographically.
Oh no, I meant non-conference games.
Well, that too, but there's some strategy to our non-conference. We as coaches, we're trying to play the teams that allow us the chance to start getting some wins.
Yep.
I played 4, I think, of the ODAC, but calculatively I chose 4 or 5, whatever the number is, from the bottom of the ODAC, and we've lost all. Oh, great transition. This is a great St. Mary's up and down. Lacey Brown ends up being the finisher there from Hereford High School.
You played Bridgewater and Randolph
and
Shenandoah.
We did, yeah. But that's also just because of proximity and the fact that those schools are close to us. We played Randolph, so we played a bunch of schools that are close to us that are in the ODAC. I think athletically the ODAC, compares to the CAC. But I'll go out on a limb with nobody hating me. But I'll just make a statement. I think the CAC is better athletically, but there's a lot of other factors. There's academics. There's all of those other factors.
I think you can make the argument for basketball too, which is the better conference.
Yeah, would you say? I don't.
Yeah, I'm thinking
the CAC is better.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, CAC.
I just don't follow every sport that intently, and I can just say in lacrosse by way of rankings. But look, this year Lynchburg and WNL are doing great in men's lacrosse.
Saw what Catholic did to
the women's team.
St. Mary's.
Yeah, and they're 13th in the country on the women's side. Their men's team's not top 25, but good. We went up there last year. That was my first game ever at Southern Virginia. Was up at Catholic last year, and it was a tremendous eye-opening to Division III. That it's great lacrosse.
Would you like to see both the men and the women play maybe WNL on a regular basis?
Yeah, I think we would, no doubt about it. But there's a tradition here that doesn't speak in our favor. We're Southern Sem to them.
Yeah.
And so
that and that 2008 football game, which came almost to be a SVU victory.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know how much that comes into play.
Well, I think it does. I mean, the folks that support WNL and the tradition and history that they have.
Those would be maybe 2 of the more famous games I think in SVU history. They're both losses, but SVU against WNL in football in 2008. And I forget the exact year. 09, 10, maybe VMI basketball game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was tied with 4 minutes to go.
Wow.
At Cameron Hall.
No way. Oh, cool stuff. We almost played them in football this year. They contacted us. They had a game and an opening, and they were going to pay us a guarantee, but we would have had to move way too many things around. No, WNL's not calling in on us. I think that we would play them when and look, let's be honest, Jim. We live in a day and age of our strength of schedule, and it's changing the landscape of athletics.
Although that atmosphere in that 2008 football game, where SVU had a touchdown lead in that game with 5 minutes to go in the game, was just amazing.
Was that played at WNL?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When I first got onto campus, we scrimmaged WNL here on this very field. So it was fall
the
fall
Knights
of
led
13.
by 7 with 5 minutes to go.
In the scrimmage
scored.
or in the game?
This was a September game.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And then WNL took the kickoff as soon as Southern Virginia took the lead, took the kickoff, ran it back, scored a touchdown. Southern Virginia fumbled, scored another touchdown, won by 7.
Wow. Well, fun cross comparison.
But the Knights brought a lot of fans that night.
Did they?
Oh, yeah.
This year, our football team, we lost a Guilford member out in Salem, and we lost by maybe a touchdown ish, or maybe 10 points. We lost to them in football. It was one of
Yes,
our early
13,
games.
I think. Yeah, it was a close game.
Yeah.
And Guilford actually, they didn't make the playoffs, but they had a pretty good team.
And they ended up beating, I think, WNL like 56-10.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. So I think we're. I don't know if we'll get to play them much. I no, they're not calling me, so we'll broach
That's
that.
a shame.
So.
It was just a great atmosphere that night and a great crowd really for both teams. So seems like a natural. That's all.
Yeah, well, but I'll go back to what I was saying a minute ago, Jim. It's about strength of schedule. You want to make the playoffs, right? You impress your supporters, your boosters, the administrators at your school when you get a playoff run. Well, there's only one AQ in your sport, right? In your conference, but you want to be the second best team in a powerful conference because you're really good. But now you're talking strength of schedule, and believe it or not, there's talk even at this level. We're not talking. FBS football here. We're talking Division III athletics, and strength of schedule matters. The NCAA, little
Rainey
collision
took a
here.
little spill there.
Little collision, Rainey.
You can see how quickly the second half has moved. 3 goals in the second half for St. Mary's. No goals so far for the Knights. Clock is running. Knights would obviously, Jason, love to get a goal or two before this one's over.
Yeah, it finished on a good note. I think that's Megan Cannon down from Notre Dame Prep School, Reisertown. Hope I'm saying that right. Rainey being a little athletic there, a little physical. I think they're just being cautious here, hopefully just being cautious. We had a scare, Jim. You wouldn't have heard this at practice the other day, but we had a player get hurt in a practice and have to, medically be treated away from campus. It was scary. Sometimes
show up?
A practice player, yes. Or a girl, it happened in practice. I can't probably say about all the particulars, but she ended up getting hurt and had to, the ambulance came and all that stuff. So it doesn't take much sometimes. These injuries, it's better to be cautious and appreciate the fact that the officials are going to give her a minute to take a breath. But yeah, the point of at this point in the game, what are we trying to get done? As you look at Rainey here, I'm sure she's hoping that Megan Cannon is okay, but also taking the chance here to kind of collect everybody and focus in on what we can get done here. And as you asked, at this point in the game, I would be saying, look, they don't need to score any more goals. Let's get the victory of the last 8 minutes. Let's get 1 or 2. Let's limit them to 1. And have a victory on the last 8 minutes.
Yeah, because after this game, they've got 2 tough road games coming up on April the 1st at Frostburg and then April the 4th against Marymount.
Yeah, the Frostburg game's going to be fun, Jim. We kind of planned through this. The administration, athletic folks that helped me. Our women's lacrosse team is going to travel to Frostburg with our women's softball team.
Okay.
So together they'll make a trip of it, both teams playing. It just ironically worked out that those schedules lined up, so we got a nice bus. Both teams will go up. They'll eat together. One will play, the other will play. And then they'll eat together on the way home and get to know each other a little bit.
Well, that's the thing I always don't like about these ball games is you look in the stands and you'll see a lot of players from other sports attending.
Yeah, and that happens when you're at a small school, and we're near 45% of the student body are athletes on a team, not just athletes. I mean, many other players are athletes that don't play sports, but I mean participants that play on a sport, 45% at this school. So, yeah, you want to come have fun and cheer on your friends. Well, that means you're going to come out as an athlete yourself, so that's exciting.
Zoe trying to do it all, lost the ball, contact though.
Great angle here, Craig Reese. This is our production crew is doing a great job, and this incredible top leader in the conference. I can tell you that, Jim. I got back from the CAC meetings on Tuesday, and it came up. A couple of the other athletic directors brought it up. How are you guys doing this? How are you guys able to put these productions together? And I just said, we just got great people doing.
Thought Rainey was going to get her first goal of the game and couldn't get the shot off.
She got in the right place. She beat that double team. She split the defenders and lost it of her own accord there. I don't know that anybody checked it to get it out of there. Just kind of bad luck.
Well, you wonder at at this particular point, Jason, how what kind of energy you got left if you're a player out there of
Well,
the stamina?
the good news is I can tell you this much: the girls are in shape. They're not tired from the standpoint of we're not in good enough shape. There's a mental fatigue. I said earlier that it gets hard, that
Correct, yeah.
you're frustrated, and that's you're playing defense, you're playing defense, you're playing defense, and so they're tired, but not the kind of tired that Coach Weber. I can tell you she's done a great job. The girls are worked hard. They've worked hard in practice. They've worked hard in their weight room. So they're not physically being outmatched. I can for sure. They're just there's probably a mental aspect to this of nobody likes to lose, and certainly by 15 goals is tough too. So
Well, still 6:17 to go in this one, and the Knights are again trailing here 16-1. We mentioned a future webcast. We've got the men's lacrosse game Saturday, 1 o'clock, Salisbury, and then a women's doubleheader, softball doubleheader coming up Monday, 3 o'clock. Ooh.
Too easy. Too easy. Unfortunately, Daniel Bybee, just like I said, fatigue late in the game. Part of it's just the athletic matchup and differences in ability, but that's just too easy to have an offensive player. I didn't see who scored that. Did you,
Really
Jim?
a shame that that was forced upon on Cammie because there's nothing she can do.
No, yeah. I mean, great goalies are the ones who make the saves that they're supposed to, and once in a while make the saves they're not supposed to. I'd say Cammie fits into that category. She clearly makes the saves she's supposed
Well,
to.
that when a player
so.
coming from her blind side point blank shot, there's not much you can do with that.
No, and again by fingerprint or thumbprint or whatever, our defense has got to decide: are we going to be isolated, defend on your own, no help, or are we going to be a defense that packs it in and helps each other? Clearly, there, spread out defense. Single girl makes a mistake, scores a goal. Our defensive philosophy, if we were to break down our game tomorrow, and look, I should not be at all critical of the girls we have here. They're amazing. I love them. I actually bought the pizza out of my own pocket for them after the game today, because I get to know them. I think they're wonderful, and I love that they're a part of our program. So I don't mean to be critical, but again, defensively, you've got to have an image. Somebody walks away and says, that's a blitzing defense. They blitz all the time, or they're very physical defensively, or they trap, or they're basketball. They're a zone defense. Every defense has a fingerprint. Our defense right now is very singular. One person, can beat one person and get a shot off. My strategy with our team, is three guys should make a mistake for the other team to score. If one person makes a mistake, we've got a fail-safe for one. If two guys make a mistake, we pretty much can cover that some of the times.
Three.
When I break down film, if they've scored, I can tell you there's at least three people, sometimes two, but never just one. If one guy makes a mistake, you got to have some fail-safes in there.
Sure.
And unfortunately for the Knights, defensively, it's just one mistake, one goal. One mistake, one goal. And
Takeaway there on the bad pass by Zoe upfield.
So...
we were talking about softball coming up Monday, 3 o'clock against Maine Presque Island. It's been obviously a tough year for the women in softball, but they're hanging in right in there, trying to obviously win a couple of games down the stretch.
Yeah, I met with Coach Hall again today and trying to work closely with our softball program. We're excited about Coach Hall's first year, and she's come in and brought in some recruits. She's working hard, additional players coming to the program. But what's important now, Jim, is that these girls have a good time. Again, if we're under in ability matching up each and every game, let's just have a good time and get better.
Of course, Jason, we are still waiting for a home baseball game.
Yeah,
it's been tough.
Well, that'll happen tomorrow.
Yep.
The weather's in our favor. We did get a ton of rain last night.
They've got Marymount tomorrow, doubleheader.
Yeah, we'll be at Rockbridge County High School where we're playing our home games this year. Some of our home games, Jim, are going to be moved to Covington because they have lights.
You've played there before.
Yeah, we've played there before. They have lights, and it becomes a necessity, not that we love to drive 30 miles away to play a home game.
Yeah,
but
right now I think our first baseball webcast is going to be coming up next Thursday against Mary Washington, I believe. Oh, point-blank pass.
Nice save,
block.
Cammie. Nice save, Cammie. That was also a turnover pass. As you're talking about baseball, we turn the ball over. Cammie ends up throwing. She's forcing passes to girls that are pretty much blanketed. Another good save, Cammie. She's seeing the ball well now with only a couple minutes to go in the game, but she's made a couple good saves. But again, the Achilles heel here this game for us has been we can play some defense. We maybe even get the ball on the ground, maybe even get the ball to the goalie, but it's been really hard for us to make the right decisions and or execute.
Well, very
getting the
similar,
ball to
very
our
similar to
offense.
the Salisbury game. That was an 18-1 loss.
Oh, yeah.
And this is pretty much almost the same script. St. Mary's, as you mentioned, doing a lot of passing, a lot of time consumption.
Well, very impressed. I know I spoke maybe a little bit too earlier at the beginning of the game when St. Mary's was kind of throttle, wide open and pedaled to the floor, going and going and going. I thought they may continue that all game, but they've done a great job. They went hard, got their 10 goals, and then they've been nothing but class. And that play there, as I was speaking, calculated or not, we double teamed outside the side of the goal, and then we slid, and the St. Mary's kept moving the ball. They got an easy look inside because we had double team there, and I don't question that we shouldn't have tried to double team, but again, I go back to how is it that we want to play defense here? Let's do it whether we're up by one, down by one, or down by 17. Double teaming like that looked very uncomfortable for us, unfamiliar to us. So we paid the price there, giving up an easy goal.
When you do that, you run the risk of leaving one uncovered.
So, but the girls are working hard. I got to give them credit. They haven't stopped playing. You noticed, Jim, during the timeouts, when you see their faces, what do you see? They're smiling.
Smiles, yep.
The coaches are positive on the sideline. The girls are not outmatched by conditioning. We may be a little bit outmatched by skill and experience, but we've got great attitudes. We're working hard. If you're somebody watching this game trying to decide, this is a program you want to play for. You can ride the bench at a lot of programs, or you can play and contribute here. And
not only play and contribute, but as you mentioned, build history.
Yeah, and be a part of saying when I showed up, it was a team that was 0 and whatever or 1 and whatever, and when I left as a senior, we won a CAC championship.
That's what I was thinking about the football guys who maybe were here in 05 and 06, and then 07, first winning season. So
yep, there you go, part of the build. So we'll get there. Lacrosse is a very popular sport in the Mormon culture and throughout the country. We don't have to draw regionally. As I again said earlier, St. Mary's is a roster full of Maryland players. Our roster, we've got Florida, Georgia, Virginia, California, Utah, Oregon, Montana, New Mexico, California, Idaho. I mean, we're all over the map. The women's roster, as is the men's roster, and we can draw nationally in the game of lacrosse. Within the Mormon and with the Mormon community, and not that you have to be a Mormon to come here, as we've said many times over, but I mean just saying that we can attract from around the country, and we will.
Then again, a lot of things going on at Southern Virginia this weekend. Men's lacrosse tomorrow, men's baseball doubleheader coming up on Saturday. Got a softball doubleheader, and I guess open houses this weekend.
Yeah, it's a great time to be here. The weather's turned this week. We hit 70 degrees yesterday before the rain came. Pretty exciting. Pretty exciting to be here. Pretty exciting to be a part of the growth of this campus, and again, a lot of fun things happening. So.
And again, Jason, big one for you guys. Men's lacrosse tomorrow, Saturday, 1 o'clock against Salisbury.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Tune in to watch the game. Certainly come if you're nearby. It'll be exciting to see a powerful team on our field. We're excited to host traditional power, and more than anything, it's a chance to perform and a chance to show what progress we've made. Each and every week we look forward to progressing.
Last second shot here by Rainey.
She made the right decision, though.
Yes.
Did she make the right decision or what?
Nice pass.
She could have been worried about her stats, as you said, and get that goal, but instead she makes the unselfish, great leader decision, passes the ball to Claire, and Claire gets the goal there at the end. That's great to see. That speaks so well of that leadership and unselfish play. Claire gets the finish, and Rainey does all that work to get it there.
And hopefully that'll that last second goal, Jason, maybe will carry over for the Knights, because again we've got road games for them coming up. The women's lacrosse team, April the 1st at Marymount, then April the 4th at Newport.
Well, again, thank you for your time and being with us, to Craig, your team, and for all those that have helped make such a great production. We're grateful for the tremendous girls, these scholar athletes who work hard both in the classroom. You can see them celebrating. They understand we're outmatched, so let's make today a great experience. I said earlier, a good game can be like a good practice, in that you're just trying to get better, trying to have fun doing the thing you love, progress, get better, and move on to the next game.
Jason, good luck to you guys Saturday, 1 o'clock against Salisbury.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Okay, and that'll be the next webcast. And again, coming up on Saturday, 1 o'clock, as the the Southern Virginia men's lacrosse team will be taking on Salisbury again Saturday, 1 o'clock, so make sure you join us for that webcast coming up on Saturday. That'll wrap things up here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. Final score again, St. Mary's 18 and SVU 2. For Jason Lamb, I'm Jim Bresnahan. Have a great evening, everyone.